Hey guys, so glad to have you with us. Today we are going to talk about why time management really doesn't matter and what you should be doing instead. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Makhosi, aka the Royal Shaman, and I'm on a mission to expand consciousness in order to create as many conscious leaders. My goal is 1,000 conscious leaders. Um, in order for us to facilitate purposeful impact in this world. And I do that through shamanic and spiritual knowledge that I've come across in intense initiations and all of that. So as you're hopping on, let me know that you're here. One of the things that inspired this video is I'm always asked questions about how to manage time. It seems like I get so much done, which I do. And people are always coming to me asking me, how can I manage my household, my family, my work, my business, my hobby, my school, all of those things? Sound familiar? We live in a time where it's so common for people to run around like a chicken with their head cut off, errand to errand to errand, constantly on the go. And so many people are burnt out, especially if you're a high achiever. High achievers feel even more pressure to go, 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 and get more done, right? So, what we really need to understand about time management is that number one, time management isn't as important as energy management is, or rather, alignment of our energy is. You see, time by itself is really just an agreed upon illusion that we all are just choosing to operate in. Really, the only thing that exists right now is the now. And if you're like me, you've probably had an experience where it took you forever to get something so simple done when maybe it would take someone else half that time or 1/10 of that amount of time. And the reason for that is alignment. The truth of the matter is, we all come with a unique energy, with a unique essence that is uniquely qualified to fulfill certain activities in the world. And those will be things that are enjoyable to us. So, one of the things that you want to start to do in looking at your time and how to create more of it is to really start to develop your consciousness, develop your level of self-awareness. What do I actually enjoy doing? And how do I do more of that? What do I not enjoy doing? And how can I not do those things? What you will find is so much of what you thought that you had to do, you didn't actually have to do. And so much of us feeling a need or a pressure to do that centers around our perspective, our judgments on certain roles and what is good and what is not. For example, we tend to look down on people who clean houses, and we have judgment around the level of intelligence or the level of importance or the level of value that that person brings. However, there are people who come into this world who love to clean and are great at it. And it's amazing to me because someone could come in, clean this apartment, and it could take them maybe 4 hours, where it's going to take me an entire day to clean the apartment because it's not something that is in alignment with my energy. Can I do it? Sure. And it's going to be great. It's going to be spotless. But in the meantime, it is not the most, it's not the best use of my time. Is all of this resonating with you guys? Does this make sense? So you have to look at what is in alignment with your energy. Who are you? What did you come into this world to contribute? And isn't your time best spent doing those things that are in energetic alignment? Hey, Jennifer. Now, I want you to just for a minute imagine with me, what would this world be like if everyone was valued for their contribution? Now, I'm not saying that, oh, everyone makes the same exact amount of money, et cetera, et cetera. But what if we just removed judgment about who's more important and valued everyone's contribution? This is going to sound really silly, but I just ran I just ran the Roomba while I was working, and I took a moment to think about, like, oh my gosh, I value this Roomba, this robot, so much because that hour that it's saved me cleaning the floors is time that I get to spend changing the lives of other people. Hello. Doesn't that make sense? So, as technology is developing and as we start to look at, well, what is value really, then hopefully my wish is that we start to change our perspectives on some of these things. I actually see this happening a lot right now, where people are realizing that this whole model of you being paid for your time is utterly ridiculous, right? Why is it that if I'm in a job where I am able to get a job done in 2 hours, then I'm punished, right? Because I am moving more quickly through things because it's my zone of genius, and another person can sit and be paid more for the same results, right? Because it's taking them longer. So I do see that we're moving into a more results-based economy, which is great. Like, do you want to pay a plumber to come to your house for 40 hours to fix something just because he can? No, you don't. I have an assistant. Do I want to pay my assistant? I do pay her because this is how it's structured, but it makes more sense to me to pay her based on the results that she's creating, not based on how much time, because she could just intentionally take longer to do things. So you have to also, in the expansion of your consciousness, look at how is this mode of operating, which is how our society operates, how is that showing up in what you are choosing to do in your life? Are you choosing to value yourself based on how long it takes you to do a thing, right? Like, I cook for my family. I've caught myself feeling like I'm a great mom because I made this meal from scratch. And it took me an hour. But the result was the same. The family ate. And the truth of the matter is my kid is 7. He did not care at all. So we have to start to really examine these things. In keeping in that same vein, you also want to start to let go of your beliefs surrounding your time and the value of that time. Okay. So in order to be able to make this shift to where you are seeing your energy as the most valuable asset, when you are starting to see and focus put your focus on preserving that energy and utilizing that energy in the most productive, efficient manner, you are going to have to let go of a lot of identity stuff. You're going to have to let go of, I'm a better mom because I take longer to cook. You're going to have to let go of, oh, I'm a great wife because I worked all day long, right? So these are things that you are going to have to let go of, and especially going to have to let go of if I'm doing nothing, I'm lazy. My personal belief is that there are no lazy human beings, only misaligned ones. Because our natural way of being is expansion. We all want to expand. We all want to grow. We all want to contribute something to society. But when we are indoctrinated to believe that someone who is a garbage man is not as valuable as a CEO, then that's when we start to have problems. Again, I'm not saying that they should both be paid the same exact amount. These are different things, but we have to start to look at that, because some people, the things that are in alignment with them are frowned upon in our society or are looked at as not good enough. So we have a lot of people who are trying to be something that they are not. And we all suffer for it. Have any of you all ever had a crappy doctor? Right? If you've ever had a crappy doctor, you know what I'm talking about, right? So we see athletes, doctors, politicians, lawyers, engineers as like very high on the value scale as a society. And so we have a lot of people pursuing those fields that should not be in those fields, right? I was reading an article about, what do they call him? Dr. Death. Dr. Death. And Dr. Death is a neurosurgeon. Well, was a neurosurgeon, right? If you've heard about this guy literally was botching and paralyzing people on the operating table intentionally. This is a guy who literally had no empathy and made it all the way through undergrad, through medical school, through residency and fellowship, and then ended up paralyzing, I want to say it was something like 30 people, and like ended up killing 3 people, and he was charged with it. So Ujjayi, we have instances of people who are pursuing things that it is not their calling. It is not their purpose in life. And not only do they suffer, right, because they are not naturally, their natural expression is not in alignment with that, but also the rest of us suffer for that too. When people find themselves in roles that are out of alignment. So this is really about the betterment of all of us. Another thing that you also want to really look at when you feel like you're time poor, when you don't have enough time, when you're always go, 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 always hustling, is you want to examine, like, how are you actually using your time, right? Are you actually doing things that are moving you forward, that are expanding you? And this isn't to say that, things like maybe your hobbies, or I love to do crossword puzzles in bed. That's one of my things. I know I'm an old lady because I even do the paper ones with the pencil or a pen in my bed like an old lady. And I love them so much. But those things are expanding because it's bringing me into the present, and it is an expression of who I am. But there's also a lot of time that I know that I've examined my life, and I'm sure you all have too. Whoop, flipped my hair. We spend a lot of time on things that are not expanding us, right? And all of us need like mental breaks. I get it. But How much of your time are you actually spending scrolling cat memes? Guilty. I love cat memes. But I am here to do something in this world, and I can't do that to the fullest capacity if I allow myself to always just be giving my energy to things that don't serve me. How much energy and focus are you giving to things that actually are contradicting what it is that you want in your life? This one I see all the time. Ooh, it looks heavenly, that light hitting. So many of us are focusing on the trauma that we've experienced and all of the things that aren't going right in our life. And by doing that, we end up creating more of it, right? We end up creating more drama, more stress, more brokenness, more lack of fulfillment, right? So these are all things that you want to be looking at more than just, oh, I need to manage my time better. I know that for kids, especially, kids can be really good examples of this. My son is what in human design would be called a manifesting generator. He is, like me, someone who is multi-passionate, and we're basically the ones who get diagnosed as ADD or ADHD because our attention can go in so many different, it hops around. But what you'll find with us is that if we are ingrained in something that is in alignment with us, we can go forever. I will literally sit down here. I drop my son off at the bus stop in the morning. I will sit down at this desk at, let's say, 7:30 with my cup of coffee, and I will have to be like, oh crap, I probably should eat. It's past noon. I haven't even had anything to eat because I've been so entrenched in my work that I'm able to go and go and go and go, right? Jennifer says yes. Because when you are in alignment, the time doesn't matter as much. But when you're doing shit you don't like to do, right? Or shit that's not even in alignment and forcing yourself to fit a box of really, and let's be real, this box that you're trying to fit is what other people think that you should be doing. It's what other people have told you is important or is your role or is valuable or that's your place, etc. And so you put yourself in this box, and that box makes you miserable. I know people who, because they don't want to be a statistic, end up putting themselves in situations that don't even make any sense, right? I did it. I had my son my last year of college, and also needed to work. So I had a newborn that I was nursing, and I was in my last year of college, which PS, I was pre-med. So I was taking physics and chemistry and like all sorts of really hard classes and working. Looking back on it, that made zero sense, right? Like sometimes you do have to kind of like just put your mind to something and push through it. It was only 1 year. Well, it wasn't even a whole year. It was one semester because I had him at the end of my next to the last semester. Anyway, Jennifer says, I think my entire family is like that my whole life when I was young. Yes. And if you're not resonating with this, then you've at least seen this somewhere. And so what I'm hoping is that this is triggering in you to start examining, what am I doing in my life that is not the best use of my energy? And how can I, right? This is the second important question, is how can I still get these things done that are important and stay in alignment? So we had societal structures at various points in time that allowed for the facilitation of this. And so it's time for us to start bringing some of those back, but also we have technology now that really does allow for a lot more to be happening. Like, I'm so grateful for a dishwasher. Aren't you? Because washing the dishes takes a lot of time, and it is not my zone of genius. And this is going to sound really terrible, especially at this point in time in my life, but whatever. Every minute that I spend washing dishes, that is a minute of my life. And now that I know what my purpose is, that is taking one more minute away from living that purpose. I do still cook. I do still do dishes, etc., wash clothes, etc. But even I'm now, as things are moving along, looking at like, does it make sense for me to do this? No, probably not. I encourage this with my husband too, especially because my husband does not have energy like I do. My husband, he really only has it in him to work for like a few hours a day. And he is much better suited to supervising. And that's valuable. Not everyone has that ability. So it doesn't make sense to me for him to be in a job where they're paying him for, let's say, 8 hours, when it would be he could get more done in a more supervisory role for 3 hours a day. So I'm saying all of these things so that you really get into a frame of mind of looking more at productivity and efficiency and what actually makes sense. What are you doing very unconsciously? What are you doing because that's what you were told is important, because that's what society expects of you, because that's what your family expects you to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And is that in alignment with who you really are? So when it's almost always women that ask me about these things, because I think as women, we end up doing a lot, where men have really, like most men that I know, they don't have a problem with disconnecting. Like, they will sit all day long and not feel bad about it. Usually they know, like, when it's time to work, it's time to work. But if it's time to watch the Super Bowl, it's time to watch the Super Bowl. If it's time to just chill, it's time to just chill. And they're cool like that. Women, we seem to have a harder time with this. So that's why I'm talking about us. But when these women come to me asking for help in this area, number one, I always warn them that I hope you know what you're asking me about, because I'm about to put it down in some real terms that you're doing too much. You're doing way too much. And you got to take some stuff off of the plate. You've got to do what is the most important at that point in time. And understand that things are also temporary. So there's a lot that I wanted to do that I just kind of put on hold a little bit, or I didn't go to the full level that I could have while my son was young. But now that he's a little older and he's more independent and all of those things, now it makes more sense for me to expand in those avenues, networking, doing more of the traveling, et cetera, the speaking, all that sort of stuff. So, all right. Do you all have any questions about any of that? I know that this seemed like we were just talking about managing your time, but what we're really talking about here is your purpose in life and finding fulfillment. So these keys that I just gave you, by following those, you can actually start to live out your purpose in life. You can start to find fulfillment every single day, because you're going to be spending your energy in something that lights you up. It is going to be something that is so in alignment that you find joy doing it. Like, do you really think that you just came to exist and be miserable the entire time? No. Now, are there going to be challenges? Sure. That's part of this. That's part of um, the molding that has to happen in order for you to move forward to the next level. But for every single day, day in, day out, for you to be miserable doing something that isn't in alignment with you, well, that just doesn't make sense. Especially if there's other ways that it can get done. All right. So this was the first live on YouTube. I'm actually going to be spending more time here growing the message. So if you liked this, please make sure to share this with someone. If you want to get some more insight, get some help, I also left some details about my free consciousness quiz, which is going to help give you some clarity about one of those first points we were talking about, help you to gauge how self-aware you are. And then also information for how to work with me can be found in the description below. So I will see you all next time. If you have any ideas for videos that you'd like to see, if you have any questions or challenges that you would like my help with, please drop them in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.